lived happily
We're
ever
back.
after. Each of us.
And based on feedback from our last video, look, I'm Keith.
The feedback we got was that apparently I have a really big head.
Yeah.
So, but anyways,
Literally and figuratively.
we wanted to do a video. We've been wanting to do this video for like the last week, and it's been a busy week for us. We had a lot of things going on where we couldn't, but here we are now. We're going to get people caught up on value resorts.
So many different resort options, but we're focusing on just the value resorts for this video, trying to keep it short and sweet. So there are 5 Disney value resorts. You have your All-Star Movies, All-Star Sports, All-Star Music, Pop Century, and Art of Animation.
And we've stayed at which one of these?
We have stayed at All-Star Movies.
All-Star Movies was the last one we stayed at, which you've stayed there multiple
frequently
times.
Yeah, that's pretty much my go-to for value.
And then I have stayed at Pop Century on a trip with my family
years ago,
like 2006, 2007. So,
and I've also stayed at All-Star Music too. So just a little bit, we'll talk about movies since that's where we most recently stayed at.
Right.
It starts, all the All-Stars start about $150 right now per night. They're the most budget friendly of all of the resorts. And All-Star Movies, you walk in, he's got his defeated face because it's nap time for the baby and we hear her waking up.
Yes. Yes.
But All-Star Movies, you walk in, you've got your little table and chairs. You've got your queen size bed over there. You've got your TV. And one cool thing Disney does at all the resorts, you walk in, it'll say like, welcome McNabb family, and
on the TV.
Yes.
Yeah. And in fact, if you want to grab her, I'll talk about something new while you do that. One thing that they've did, even since the last time that we went last year, what they've added to the rooms is like this little tablet that has little Mickey ears on it in the room where you can say, hey, Disney, and it's a virtual assistant to, instead of calling down to the front desk to get supplies, towels, things like that, shampoo, stuff like that, you can just say, hey, Disney, I need this, and that virtual host is what they call it, will put in an order for that, and they will eventually bring it up. Disney bus transportation from All-Star Movies. They have the buses, obviously, and at that particular value resort, that is the only transportation that is giving from the hotel or the resort to the parks. Coming from one thing that we'll dive deeper in, and we'll try to give you a little bit on each resort, is the transportation from airport. If you were to fly in to the resort, they have a couple different options. They have Mears, which is a bus service. I think it's like $16 a person, or it was the last time that we used it. We found that if it's 4 or less people, we just did an Uber. It ended up being not a lot cheaper, but it was cheaper for us 3, me, her, and my son at the time, to just take an Uber than it was to pay the $16 per person for that Mears. And that's a one-way payment. So you have to turn around and pay that again on the way back to the airport. They also do have, Disney has a, what do you call it? With Lyft. They have a partnership with Lyft instead of Uber, where it is kind of cool. It's a little bit more pricey, but they have what they call the minivans, where it's minivans that are
MINNIE
minivans that are kind of decked out in Minnie Mouse gear or whatever. So anyways, pick back up. We're talking about All-Star Movies.
All-Star Movies. In our room, you also had like the little fold-down bed. That was Caden's favorite feature about it.
So yeah, like
And then-
so when you walk into the room, you only see one bed.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a room that has the two queen
Mhm.
size beds, you only see one bed, but it's because one of them is like raised up into the wall, and it's like a little cabinet or whatever. But you can fold that bed down. Kind of if you're not going to use that
A
second
hideaway
bed,
bed.
a hideaway bed, it kind of gives you some more room.
Yeah, because it is a pretty small room. I'll be honest. It's pretty basic, but it
Mhm.
is very clean, which is obviously very important. You always get like your hair dryer, your ironing board iron. Comes with a little mini fridge. I like to bring bottles of water, stick in there. Coffee. Does it come with coffee?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not a coffee
but
person, so I don't pay attention to that.
when we're down there, I don't really get coffee like out of the room and stuff. If I do, it's going to be right when I get into the park, or if I'm going by the cafeteria area as we leave to go stand in line for the bus or whatever. Is
Right.
usually when I do it. So
So All Star Movies, they have all the resorts. They have pools. They have an arcade. All of the value resorts, they have kind of a cafeteria type of a dining system there, kind of like just a big open cafeteria
Yeah.
and the food's pretty good.
where it's what she's
She has
talking
opinions.
about is at some of your moderate and deluxe resorts. A lot of those resorts have a restaurant,
Excuse me.
multiple sit-down restaurants that you can go and sit down at and eat. Whereas these value resorts, all of them have more of a cafeteria area where you can go and get breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you can go get snacks and things like that. And with a meal plan, you can also use your meal plan at your resorts. Along with inside the park at Disney Springs and things like that.
Right. Now you can always, even if you're staying at a value resort, you can always travel to one of these other resorts that do have the sit-down dining and eat there. You don't have to stay there to eat there.
Right. So don't think that because you stay in a value resort, you're stuck to eating at that cafeteria. You're not. It's just convenient that it's right there.
Right. Mentioned they all have pools.
Most of them have 2 pools.
Yes. They have activities for the kids. They have campfire activities. They have like movie night where they'll have a projection screen set up and movies under the stars for the kiddos. It's neat little extras. If it rains, which it did while we were there last year, they'll do things indoors for the kids. They had a little arts and crafts section. They had an indoor movie section for the kids last year. And Caden, he did that. So once the pool was closed because it was storming, so he enjoyed that too. And All Star Movies, they have different sections. Like we stayed in the Fantasia section, so our pool had the Sorcerer Mickey, and he's like shooting water out of his hands.
Yeah, which
is pretty cool.
We didn't mention at the very beginning. Most of your value resorts are more directed towards the children.
They are.
As far as appearance and things like that. So you have the characters on the side of the buildings where you stay. They're big and giant. Where, like us, it was All Star Movies. So you had like 101 Dalmatians, the Dalmatians, big giant Dalmatians on the side of the building. You had, what's some of the others there?
There was the Mighty Ducks.
Ducks.
There's a pool there that's Mighty Ducks themed.
Right. Whereas some of the other, and we're going to get into some of the other value resorts. We'll tell you about those, the characters and stuff that are on the building. So you want to move on to All Star Music?
We can. So All Star Music, I stayed there one time. It was pretty nice as well. It's very, very similar setup to All Star Movies. You have different sections. Like you'll have your jazz section. You'll have your Broadway section. I stayed in the Broadway section. It's really cool. Same thing. They've got those campfire activities, the movies under the stars. They have the different pools, cafeteria dining. They have
arcade.
Yes, they all have arcades. And of course, Disney being Disney, every resort has a gift shop.
Of course.
So get those shirts before you head out to the park.
And they're usually right in the front when you are leaving to go to the parks or coming home from the parks. The gift shop is usually right there. You're not going to be able to get to your room without walking past the gift shop. So strategically placed.
Of course. And then they'll have their, all of their posters up of the different musicians and stuff. You've got your Keith's favorite Taylor Swift. You've got Michael Jackson. You've got Queen. You've got all the classics.
I will not comment on that.
Right. All-Star Sports. I've not stayed at. I'm going to assume it's the same type of setup.
Where like on the side of the building is, you've got footballs and baseballs and bats and things like that. But pretty much the same kind of concept as the other All-Star resorts.
She is saying what I'm hoping, which is I hope that they at least have gymnastics represented in there as well, and All-Star Sports, my sport. Have some Simone Biles up there.
You may
she
not
needs to be on the wall.
They may not be able to hear her as loud as we can hear her because we're wearing microphones. But it kind of the same service. They offer the same type of things. The minivan service, the gift shop, the bus transportation from or the Mears transportation from the airport to the resorts. Obviously parking if you're driving, and the Disney bus transportation
system,
yes.
if I can speak today, to each of the parks. Same price point. They're booking about $150 a night. Now you can stay in a preferred room for about 20-ish extra bucks a night. That does get you a little closer to the entrance, get you a little closer to those buses. So,
which a lot of people may not think that's a big deal, but trust us when we say that that bus line in the mornings is going to fill up very fast. It's going to be very brutal. So even if you are 100 yards closer to that bus line, it makes a huge difference. Not to mention when you come back in the evening after you've been at the parks all day long, you don't have a 300-yard walk to your room. It's going to be a lot closer. And those little things like that make a huge difference in your stay.
And if you're traveling with anybody with mobility issues too, that's a big plus, a big help, which I'll go over some more points about mobility issues later on as well. Moving on, Pop Century. That's going to be just a little bit leveled up price-wise from the All-Stars, but still within that value range. So it is based on the different decades of 20th century. It's all about 20th century pop. And so it has different sections, like your 60s section will have its flowers and its disco balls and all that all over the side of it. It's so cute how they do it. I want to go and stay in the 80s section since we're 80s babies, because it looks super cute with its Rubik's cubes and it has a big wheel on the side of its building, which was my jam as a kid. And like even their pools, the 60s pool over there, it's got water jets that are shaped like little flowers too. So little tiny details that really make it fun. And you stayed at that. So do you have any memories?
I stayed at that in 2000, like I said, 6 or 2007. So, I mean, that was ages ago, almost 20 years ago. And so I'm sure things have changed a lot since the last time I stayed there. But it's pretty much the same concept as the other All-Star or the All-Star resorts. It has the same type of things, the cafeteria food and everything we've already went over before. It's just a different...
Their food court, that's really cute and colorful. I like it.
Yeah.
Cool vibe.
And the next resort that we're going to talk about kind of goes along with Pop Century, because what I learned is that Art of Animation originally, before it was Art of Animation, before they built that, they had already started building a second portion to Pop Century. So they were going to go from 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s into the 2000s and continue on doing that. So they started building that. And then something happened. I can't remember exactly what it was, but they kind of scratched that, waited 10, 15 years, and then all of a sudden built Art of Animation. So did we finish up with Pop Century? Can you think of anything else other than...
Just that, like, their lobby is really cool and that it's got different shadow boxes of different, like, memorabilia from each of the decades. It's kind of like a little museum in a
Yeah,
sense.
and each of these resorts, even though they all kind of give you the same thing, it's a different experience at each one of them, because they may all have a pool, they may all have the cafeteria, they may all have the buses, but each one will kind of give you a different perception while you're at Disney.
Different vibes.
So, Art of Animation.
Art of Animation.
We cannot wait to stay there.
know.
It's going to be where we stay next, after this year, obviously.
Art of Animation, it's going to be the highest of the value resorts. Right now, they're booking about $236 a night. Of course, that fluctuates a little bit depending on the season and their busy times of the year. Art of Animation is known for their family suites. So you can go and just book like a simple room, or you can do a family suite if you're traveling with a large group and have all of that extra space, little kitchen area, and more bedding and things like that. They also have the largest pool of all of the Disney resorts, not just the value resorts, but all Disney resorts, which is a fun fact about them. They are very, very whimsical. They've got murals on the walls inside their rooms, and
Right.
different characters, and it's just a really fun vibe, and fun for kids, and fun for kids at heart like me. And you've got your Little Mermaid room, you've got your Lion King, you've got Cars. So
And the Finding Nemo,
yes,
family suite,
yes,
which that's the only way you can get the Finding Nemo is through the family
Mhm.
suite. So most of your standard rooms are going to be your Little Mermaids, and of course they have family suites that are Cars as
yes.
well.
One thing about both Pop Century and Art of Animation, you do have the bus transportation systems to the parks. But with these two, you also have the option to do the Skyliner. So,
Which is like if you don't know what it is, it's like a bucket that you get in and you ride over. You go over everything. You don't have to ride the bus to get to the parks.
right. So just a little extra option, not to have to wait in that big bus line. But yeah, that's the value resorts. And even though they are on the budget friendly end, they have a lot of nice things about them. They're a lot of fun to stay at. Definitely good for people that don't want to spend a lot of time at the resort, or more go people
like us.
Yes.
So if you plan on going to Disney and you're up early in the morning, going to get to the parks, you're going to spend all day in the parks and not get back to your room till really, really late at night, this is probably the best option for you.
Save a little money.
Save a little bit of money, and if you're not going to be in your room all that much, then this is probably the best choice for you.
Exactly. And we'll talk about other resorts next time. We'll talk about moderate
resorts. And how many moderate resorts are there?
5.
5 moderate resorts. We'll go through those in the next video, kind of give you price points, everything that we did here, so that you know those options. And then eventually we'll get to the deluxe resorts, and then we plan on doing a video for each of the parks, and
I'm looking forward to that,
including the Disney Springs. And we have an animal loose in our house called our daughter, and so next week we'll try to get the next video up for you guys, and we will see you then.
Have a magical day.